All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to LA2M. We're glad you're here today. Thank you for being here. My name is Jim Musial, and I kick these meetings off each month for our organization. And want to start by welcoming everybody. From a quick show of hands, do we have anybody that's here for the very first time? Good, great. Good handful of you. Well, we appreciate you being here. How did you find out about us, if you don't mind me asking?
I've had about 5 or 10 people recommend the group over the last couple of years.
Awesome. All right.
We decided to come.
Cool. Social media or email or meetup or any other ways? How'd you guys find out about us?
A recommendation from people.
Wonderful. And you know what? I mean, that's really one of the best things we can do that our organization does is spread the word. So we appreciate you guys being here, word of mouth. Someone invited you or told you about it, recommended it. We hope that after today you'll want to recommend it to somebody else as well, your friends and colleagues, even clients. We would love to continue to grow LA2M and have a packed house each week or each month. So please continue to spread the word. So welcome to the first timers. Just a little bit of programming format for you guys that are here for the first time. We'll just do a little introduction here. I've got some sponsors that are going to speak for a minute, and then we're going to turn the microphone over to the speakers today. They're going to do their presentation for probably about 30-35 minutes. Hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, and then at about 1:45, 10 to 1, we will we'll wind up the program, and we will pass the microphone around, and everyone will have the opportunity to stand up and introduce themselves. If you have a quick ask or need, and that way after the program's wrapped up, you're welcome to stick around and network. Part of the goals of LA2M is to help connect people together. So hopefully throughout, as you're hearing the introduction, you'll hear and want to talk to some other people. Maybe you have an ask or a need. Maybe you're here for a specific purpose and you want to talk to that person. So stick around in the room. We're not in a hurry to get out of here. Do some networking and get to meet some of the other people that are here. We're all here for the same reason. We want to learn and understand and grow our marketing programs that we are involved with. Many of us are owners or have small businesses or work for businesses that we wear multiple hats. And a lot of times we have to do a lot of things that may not be in our comfort zone. So what LA2M does each month is we try to bring in speakers that are going to teach us things about our marketing programs, things that we do, whether it's social media, whether it's traditional marketing, to share their subject matter that they're experts in, and give us real life tips and opportunities that we can then put into practice in our own businesses. So hopefully you'll get a lot out of today's presentation. We're looking forward to it. A little bit about LA2M. We are in our 9th season here. We've grown from a very small organization, continued over the years. We've kind of grown and morphed into what we are here today. We've been meeting lately. We're looking at how we're going to continue to move the organization forward and the types of programming that we'll continue to bring to you guys for next season. So we have a lot of exciting possible things coming up that we're discussing right now. And we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to, as soon as we have things finalized, to sharing that with the LA2M community. Hopefully you're on our email list. If you're not receiving our emails, please get your card to myself or Stacy in the back, and we'll make sure you get added to our email list. We have about 2,200 qualified marketing business-related names on that list that our emails go out to. We don't send junk email out. It's just specific to the LA2M programs. So it's a great opportunity for us to communicate what's going on in our community for that. So if you're not on that list, please see me and give me your card so we can add you to it. If you are interested, we have sponsorship opportunities. One of the ways the organization continues to operate and grow is through sponsorships that we have with some great organizations. And we're really thankful for that as well. LA2M is a nonprofit organization, so we're not out there trying to make money. We want to give back to the community, to the marketing community, to the Ann Arbor area community, and that's some of the things we're talking about now as an organization and how we can do that. But one of the ways we do that is through our partnerships and through our sponsors. You can see we have some signs up here, but we have a few sponsors to thank. 3.7 Designs. Ross Johnson is one of the founding members of LA2M back 9 years ago and continues to stay involved with the organization. He has a great business that works in web design. So if you are in the need for web design, I know he's a subject matter on WordPress. He runs a WordPress organization as well. Ross is, look up 3.7 Designs. He's not here today, but if he's here, he'll get up and tell you a little bit more than I can tell you. But please, check out our sponsors, 3.7 Designs. You can easily find them on social media and on the web. University of Michigan Credit Unions. You don't see anybody here from the credit union here, but again, they're one of our annual sponsors, and we're really thankful for that. I don't have anyone from the credit union, do I? Okay. They said they were going to be here and they were going to speak, so they're late. But again, another one of our sponsors, and we're very thankful for that. One of our sponsors that is here, because I can see him, is BDB Digital Marketing, BDB Digital Marketing, and that's Corey. Corey's back there. Corey, if I could have you come up for a minute. I'm going to have Corey just say a few words about BDB and let you know why he's here.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Corey Dunham with BB Marketing Design, and we can help people who are struggling, trying to figure out how their marketing is working. Many people have a hard time keeping their pipeline full, and we can help with that. We can strategize. We can do a number of different things in regards to web design and some marketing efforts toward that. So if you yourself have any struggles, or if you know of someone who is managing their own web design and marketing, that'd be a good fit for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. We appreciate BDB being part of LA2M and supporting us. So we have a number of individuals here, the board of directors for LA2M. We are all volunteers. So Carter Sherline up here from Frog Print Studios is our photographer. So you'll see him taking photos throughout, and they post it to our Facebook page. So we appreciate Carter being here. Roger Rail is kind of the video extraordinaire for the area, works with a lot of organizations, and we were very fortunate to have Roger give up his time here to LA2M. He's been videotaping our sessions for us for many years and then post them to our website as well. So if you like some things you hear in today's presentation, it will be posted to our website in the next week or so, if not less, and as well as our previous talks as well. So if you enjoyed today's topic and it's your first time here, take a look at our website and see some of the previous speakers. You'll find some topics that hopefully will be of interest to you. So we appreciate you guys being here. This is what keeps LA2M going. So again, as I started at the beginning, please refer a friend. Bring a friend with you. Tell a colleague. Tell a client. This is a great opportunity to learn in some of the things that you are doing on a daily basis. So we would appreciate great word of mouth. We are on social media, so if you are posting, it's hashtag LA2M. We'd love for you to throw some props our way. We appreciate that. Enough about LA2M and what hearing me speak. What you guys are really here for is to listen to our speakers today. We are very fortunate every month to have some great speakers, and this month is no different. We were really appreciative of both of these ladies taking their time to be here today. I don't want to take a lot of their thunder. I want them to come up and tell you a little bit about themselves and what they do and why they're here to present to us. So if you would please help me welcome Susan Emerick and Jamie Ward.
Thank you all for being here. I am not a huge fan of microphones. I'm a professor at Eastern, and I'm used to the teacher voice. So bear with me as I kind of get used to the microphone. Again, I'm Jamie Ward. I teach public relations and social media at Eastern Michigan University. I also work with the Center for Digital Engagement over at Eastern.
Hi everybody, I'm Susan Emerick, and I'm joining you today from IBM, where I lead the employee engagement practices around social media, and I'm going to share a lot about how to prepare yourself for engagement and protect your employees.
So let's go ahead and get started. So I thought today what we would do is we would kind of set the tone for what we were going to talk about. We would ask you a couple of questions, move through our presentation, and then Susan will kind of wrap things up for us. So what we're going to focus on today, what we're really going to talk about and really get into the nitty-gritty of, deals with the prevalence of rogue sites. Rogue social media sites have really sprung up in significance over the last couple of years. So we're going to discuss some of the ramifications associated with those sites. We're going to talk about how organizations can really be prepared if their sites are taken over, if a Twitter account is hacked, if an employee goes rogue and kind of takes over your material. We're going to look at the ways that you can specifically protect your brand, and then talk about ways to mobilize in case of a crisis. Before we do that, I have a question for all of you. So have any of you encountered rogue sites? Have any of your sites been taken over? Have you struggled with anything dealing with rogue social sites?
Facebook just got deleted me.
Facebook just deleted you. Okay. Okay, is that a bad thing?
It's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing. Okay. It's a bad thing for now. Okay.
Yeah.
Reason?
Yeah, because I was going to go live about the Lyme CDC rally May 4th, and they don't want any news down at the CDC in Atlanta because, okay, thank you so much. I'm an international best-selling author, Overcoming Lyme Disease, and I went to go live, and as soon as I posted March 1st, I was going live and I was interviewing an RN out of Texas about Lyme disease. I was totally blocked. Even my author site was totally taken down, and it just took them until 2 days ago where they totally deleted my account. They did not give me any ramifications, no warnings, and they did this because they are going, diamond and silk and everybody, anybody that's speaking the truth, they're trying to stop us. So anyways, but it doesn't matter because I'm here today. I'm not giving in to the powers that be because people are dying. And the Lyme crime shows why all vaccines fail, why 1 out of 35 American children are getting autism. So,
Love it. Love it. Anyone else? Okay, well, I'm glad the rest of you haven't been hacked or taken over yet, but just in case it happens, we want to make sure you're prepared. So, again, this isn't an uncommon instance. So within the last couple of years, we've seen rogue sites. We've seen the fake Twitter accounts for the EPA, for the National Parks Association. We've seen accounts for a Burger King that was hacked and turned into a McDonald's site. I mean, all of the content on Burger King's Twitter page became a McDonald's franchise site. We've seen instances where employees have been disgruntled and have decided that they were going to take over the social site and post the real truth about the organization. And by the time the organization got control back of their social, the damage had already been done. We've also seen instances of healthcare organizations, or even the most recent instance with YouTube, where one of the employees at YouTube during the shooting, their account was hacked and fake news was spread to kind of throw the media off of what was going on. So this happens more than you'd think. These rogue sites are incredibly damaging to a brand. They make consumers question your honesty, your authenticity. They can, again, be places for employees to air grievances. It can be really counterproductive to organizations for all of this to occur. So what can you do? Right? These sites are becoming more and more active, phishing sites. So what we want to do today is we really want to talk to you about ways that you can help your brand. And for me, the initial thought comes from really having consistency in your brand messaging. So consistency in logos, consistency in content, so that if someone stumbles upon your site, it's going to be immediate or noticeable to them that something's amiss. Something just doesn't look the way that it should. So the example that I have, I started in nonprofits. Before I was an educator, I did a lot of work with nonprofit organizations. So I came from the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan, and I was responsible for all of their branding, their social media, their website redesigns there. And what we did when we really were redesigning the website is we thought a lot about branding. Because if you're not familiar with kind of that structure, the Girl Scout organization is a national organization, and then you have all sorts of councils across the country. That consistency in branding allows people to say, okay, this is a scouting site, I can trust it, this makes sense to me. So we made sure the logos, the branding, the courage, care, confidence in girls was consistent across all of the pages. And this really helped us. Because when a site popped up called girlscoutswhynot.com, that had a Facebook page and a Twitter account and a YouTube site, it was easy for people, for our parents and our girls in general, to identify something's going on with this site. So instead of the site really talking about courage and confidence in girls, it talked about Girl Scouts pushing an anti-abortion agenda. Not exactly something we want our kids to read. But again, it was because we were so consistent in branding, anyone that came across that site or the social channels was quickly able to identify, okay, this doesn't look right. I'm gonna keep doing my research. Right? That one's easy. But what happens when you have an employee that's angry and creates an alt Disney or a rogue Disney or a real Disney and is using the exact branding that the company uses? It's using those logos, it's using your messaging, and it's saying, we're gonna give you the real story of Disney. We're going to tell you about workers' rights. We're going to tell you what goes on behind the scenes. We're going to talk to you about all of the things that are happening in Disney because we're the real Disney now. What do you do then? It's not so easy to discern, okay, is that the real Disney or is the other one the real Disney? Because again, your messaging, your branding, your content is exactly the same. United Airlines actually ran into this. Xfinity wants to jump in here, so my apologies. So United Airlines actually ran into this. So with United Airlines, they had a website, this site has since been updated, but this was their site, and an individual named Jeremy Cooperstock decided that he was going to give a place to air grievances against United Airlines. There were a couple of complaints, 30,000 or so, a couple. And he decided he was going to put them all in one place. So for over 2 decades, United Airlines has been battling with Jeremy Cooperstock to get the site Untied pulled down. And United's argument was that their intellectual property was being infringed upon. So let me show you, this is the United site, which again has since been updated. But this is the Untied site. Pretty close. Again, in very, very tiny writing at the top, you'll notice it says, this is not the website of United Airlines. But it looks strikingly similar. Again, I'll go back and forth one more time. You notice again, the layout, the structure is very, very close, with the exception of the TI being in red, identifying it as Untied. So they went to court. Again, this was a 2-decade battle, not a quick battle by any means. And initially, the judge told United Airlines, he doesn't have to pull down the site. You guys just have to arbitrate and find a way to make it work. We're not silencing his voice. And the battle raged on, and just in June of 2017, Untied had been pulled. So United won the battle. They had to pull the site. But again, in that instance, the damage has been done. So again, all of those grievances have been aired through United Airlines. So what do you do? How can you actually protect your brand from when all of these things happen? So first is really thinking about having more than one administrator. I know in the nonprofit realm, or a lot of times with small businesses, when we start those Twitter accounts, when we start the YouTube accounts, sometimes the Facebook accounts, the person who actually starts those accounts tends to run them. They have control of the passwords, they have control of the messaging, and it's just easy, and we leave it that way until something happens. And then all of a sudden it's, well, who else has that password? Who else knows how to access those accounts? If you have only one administrator, you leave yourself open to significant damage. By the time you are able to regain control of an account, if an employee goes rogue and posts negative content, the damage has already been done. I don't know if any of you have tried to recover passwords. It is not a quick process. So think from a company standpoint, when all of the messaging is incredibly damaging to your brand and you're scrambling to get those passwords again. Make sure you have more than one administrator. You want someone else to be able to go in and quickly shut it down if there's negative content, or heaven forbid someone goes in and hacks it and posts content from another company or derogatory content. Also, pay attention to social monitoring and social listening. Those tools are going to be your best friends, always. You want to pay attention for anything that strikes you as not normal, not average. So if you're consistently having fairly neutral sentiments, the comments are kind of general, everyone's pretty consistently stagnant, happy with your brand, that's a good thing. But when you see a huge spike in negative comments, that's something you need to pay attention to. Get in front of that crisis. That indicates that something's going on. Eastern Michigan is going through this right now. Right? Pretty consistent sentiment in general. They decided to cut some sports teams recently. The sentiment has been overwhelmingly negative. So again, social listening, social monitoring tools. Hootsuite has some great ones. Talkwalker is a really easy one. All free sites. Social Mention. Easy ones for social listening that you can utilize. Again, Xfinity doesn't like us here. And lastly, a governance model. Now, governance model is a little bit different than your social policies. So your social media policies are in place to really explain to your organization and the employees in the company how to utilize social media, what you want them to do with social media, how you want them to actually participate when they're utilizing social media. A governance model goes a step further and provides them with tools, provides them with educational documents, provides them with some background, provides them with all of the material that actually helps walk them through different processes and different steps to utilize in social media. So it's more than just, we don't want you to post derogatory content, we want you to keep with the company branding. It really gives you specific processes to help utilize social media and better articulate what the organization wants. So the Altimeter Group came up with the 4 P's of social governance, the social governance model. People, policy, process, and practice. And I think this is a really good model for businesses to follow. So in terms of people, really getting aligned and getting organized. Thinking about those governments having accountability for each of the roles that you're assigning in your social channels and your social practices. Think about policy, the agreements that you have. Making sure those agreements are easy, they're captured, they reflect what is acceptable and what's not acceptable within your organization. Making it actionable, really defining the steps and supporting the policies that you're putting into place and executing that strategy in a really consistent way. And then lastly, executing, right? Executing and automating, really providing tools, playbooks, training, guidance in terms of what you're looking for so that you're setting employees up to really excel. You're helping them do what they need to do in terms of that structure. So I'm going to turn it over to Susan to talk to you a little bit more about preparing employees and social media policies.
Thanks, Juliet. So
I'm going to scooch this over so I can see it.
Oh,
And you
disconnect.
Uh-oh. What did I do?
Here, I'll reconnect.
Okay.
most importantly, a really good segue from what Jamie just said is your employees want to know the rules of the road. They want to do the right thing. Their livelihood depends on it, and of course, there are always going to be, a bad apple in the bunch. But for the most part, we need to think about operating in the mode of being a social business. And when we think in that perspective, no matter what size your business is, or whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, social is here to stay, and it actually is going to help us engage more proactively and even have much further reach than we would otherwise be able to have if we're a small business or a nonprofit, for example. But more importantly is to be thinking about what is it that your employees are actually going to be needing to be equipped with. So it's not just your social media manager who's managing a branded account, it's every employee. You need to be thinking about what are the standards and governance that you're going to put in place for your company or for your brand, and what does it mean to your employees. So 3 simple principles that we began with about 10 years ago was to be thinking about secure in terms of privacy, security, and understanding what that means not only for the company, but for individuals that are employed by the company. In addition to that, being smart in the sense of getting out and sharing your expertise, like why I'm here today, to help others in the community learn from what we're learning firsthand. And then lastly, being social in terms of being very much accessible, collaborative, be able to be engaged with. And when you put those 3 principles together as a foundation, you can start to build out a governance model, standards, and training for your employees to participate with those 3 things in mind. So just a little bit about the practice that we established, and Jamie touched on it in terms of the importance of social listening. We began establishing a social listening process about 10 years ago. It has evolved from the early days of experimental and understanding how to listen to conversations to now a global practice that exists around the globe. What has helped us, though, is these standard principles and the things that we still today use social listening and intelligence for is to understand if there is rogue activity going on. number one, understand if there are imposter accounts, whether they're imposter accounts for the brand, imposter accounts that are potentially executives of your company. So really the only way to know whether or not that's happening is to invest in social listening and these technologies that help us understand what's being said, who's saying them, are they authentic, are they real. In addition to that, learning how our brand is being experienced offline, just like today, me being here at an offline event and sharing expertise. We do a lot of work to understand the balance between online and offline and the engagement of our employees. Additionally, we use our social intelligence to do a lot of work in our media planning as far as where we spend paid social money, as also how we manage more of the organic engagement that our employees drive on their own. Another way to think about the importance of social listening is to understand the affinity for your brand and whether or not your momentum or whatever movement that you want to be putting out there is getting traction. Is it actually getting amplified? Is it something that advocacy is spreading on behalf of that? So just to give you a perfect example of that, IBM is now known for social business in terms of a leading company that not only embodies being social and collaborative, but also is something that 10 years ago you wouldn't have thought of social business. But we actually defined the category, and we have since really grown into that and manifested that because of our practices. And then lastly, IBMer engagement really means how are our employees engaging? It's not necessarily Big Brother at all. It's more of how is it that the world is seeing us through sharing our expertise. And that's one of our brand and cultural standards, is getting out and engaging in the community, sharing your expertise, and driving engagement, because really IBM is experienced through employees who have specific expertise. So that's just an example of the way that within IBM we've set a practice for that. Additionally, what we do is we train our employees. I talked about security and being smart. And one of the things that, whether you're in a regulated industry or not, a lot is happening related to privacy standards. I mean, just look what's happening right now with Facebook, and you mentioned it. And when the whole Cambridge Analytica situation happened over a year ago, what was unfolding with that all really comes down to understanding your rights, understanding what you're opting into, understanding privacy standards. And it's critical as employees that we train and educate our employees on what are these standards? What does, for example, phishing attempts look like? What does it look like when something isn't quite right and it's a counterfeit account? How do you report that? What's the protocol? Because your employees are more than likely going to be the ones that are going to be engaged and hearing on the front lines, or be able to inform you maybe even before you would know about it. So it's really critical that you think beyond branded accounts in social media and how you equip your employees to identify what does phishing look like? What does it look like to be contacted by someone that is actually a rogue account? So for example, I'll give you a personal example through the Facebook situation that actually happened to me. Someone has gotten my Facebook account, and they have been contacting me through my email that is associated with my Facebook account. I know they're phishing attempts. Why do I know that? Because of the training I've received internally at IBM. What they look like, what links look like. Someone actually might look like they're a friend of yours that's sending you an email. You think, wait a second, she never sends me an email. This must be something really fishy. So it's that kind of you're giving your employees that kind of knowledge, giving those experiences that it might look like this, and something that they can identify. Because once they click on that link and can infiltrate into your, whether it's your laptop or your computer, they have access to your personal information and they have access to your brand's and company's information. So it's really, really important to be thinking about that. Additionally, mobilizing a team. Don't wait until the crisis happens. It's going to happen. It's whether or not you're prepared for that crisis and how you mobilize the team for effective engagement and addressing it. So a few things to be thinking about. If you don't have it already, certainly you want to be having a governance model that establishes the education. Who in your company can get in a core team to be focused on what does that education look like? What are the core competencies and training requirements that we need to educate our employees on? And how are we going to make sure that the employees are actually taking that education and certifying that they understand it? Should there be some kind of a notary that says you have to confirm that you've understood these guidelines, etc.? If you don't do that, then you're not really equipping your employees appropriately for them to understand what your governance model is, what your training is, and how they should be participating, what the rules of the roads are. So a few real specific examples of that might be, you're not allowed to or do not distribute information that is under non-disclosure. Pre-release of information around a product launch, whatever it might be. Very clear standards. There's a lot out there as far as standards now. In 10 years, there's a lot of standards that you can borrow from. If you don't have them today and you want to reference, by all means, I can talk to you afterward and give you some direction on how to start formulating those. But certainly it is critical, and your employees will certainly appreciate it. Monitoring and notification process goes hand in hand with not only listening, but what is that notification process, equipping your employees to know who to call, who to email, if there is some kind of a breach or something that is suspected that should be looked into. They should know that. They should know that right away. And allowing them to help you be prepared for the crisis is going to help you head that off a lot earlier. So in addition to your corporate communications team, that pretty much everyone is responsible. It can't just be, well, it's their responsibility to respond. Well, to a degree that is true. You would want to make sure that your employees have the protocol in corporate communications and crisis management. But a lot of times there might be situations where there's a subject matter expert that can act a lot faster, and you need to be thinking about those things, just establishing what is this protocol in advance, so in the moment of crisis they know what to do. And then lastly, some of the things to be thinking about after a crisis happens in terms of acknowledgement. Sometimes, depending on the situation, the best thing to say is nothing. On the other hand, depend on the situation, you will be wanting to think about how will you acknowledge that we made a mistake, or what was actually out there was not our company, and how do you rectify and acknowledge the situation that happened. So that's also really important to be thinking through. So in terms of guidelines, I mentioned there's all kinds of resources available now. But if you think about it, if you don't have one, it's job number one, walking out of here, be thinking about how do you get that established, maybe even how do you update it. It's always evolving. Things that need to be addressed and kept current is something that is critical, especially when, I think this statistic might be even old now, but 65% of adults have social accounts. And when you think about that, if you think of 65% of your employees acting as individuals on the internet, as they would. Doesn't necessarily mean they're associated with your brand, but they might be using those social accounts to share information about your company. And it could be very positive, and that's great. But you also have to be mindful of they're going to come to a role in your company or have a role in your company, and they are still a person outside of the company, and they will, it's almost table stakes now. They're going to have social currency in some way, shape, or form. And especially as we're onboarding new millennials into the company, that's just what you should expect. And that's true across the board. I don't think it's an age-related thing. So most importantly, setting those expectations, providing the guidelines, making sure that you have a clear protocol and policies for your employees to follow is really, really important. Okay, so how to go about doing it and what should be included in those policies? Well, there's some really standard etiquette best practices to be thinking about. First and foremost, consider including your employees in developing the policies. Empower them to participate, empower them to contribute. But some pretty standard things to keep in mind. Certainly you want to treat everyone with trust and respect and have the ownership of your individual responsibilities in every relationship to build that trust and respect. Because the social web is actually where trust and respect happens now. That is the world we live in. And so knowing the power of that and knowing the responsibility of that is really twofold. Additionally, making sure that they understand the values of your company, your culture, what you stand for, and how they can get behind those values. How can they embody those values? And is that something that you need to have culture and value training for as compared to their own personal values? But how do they align with your brand values? So be thinking about that. Additionally, making sure that you're fluid and keeping things current. Every day we have something that's new, that's changing. Hopefully we'll get some new regulations out of what's actually happening right now with Facebook and the Cambridge Analytica situation. But certainly help your employees understand the privacy and understand what does that mean to them. Maybe they want to rethink how they're participating. One of the things I always say is never pick a fight. You talked about it when you stood up and gave your example and got road taken over. Essentially, everyone has a voice. It doesn't necessarily mean that you would agree with it, but being respectful and valuing the relationships and trust of other people is sometimes the best thing is to not say anything. It doesn't mean that they don't have a right to say something. So you have to be thinking about that. Also being clear and concise in setting expectations, having it accessible 24/7 in some kind of a hub or something that you're allowing your employees to access in case something happens. Especially in a global company, we follow the Sun model. We're open no matter what time of the day it is. Might be in a different country, but certainly you need to have immediate access to information. And then, of course, follow things that are published by the National Labor Board and take those cues. There's a lot of information out there around how do we equip employees. The resources are endless.
NLRB?
National Labor Relations Board, yeah. So you can go there. It's got all kinds of guidance, and there's also great social media governance sites that I can share with you afterward. Okay, but mainly the key takeaway, and really from what Jamie and I wanted to share with you, is be prepared. Prepare in advance. This is going to happen. It's more the best, foundation is going to help you have a house that stands up, and so you should expect this. If you're not prioritizing this today in your company, then start as soon as you leave. The other thing is making sure that you're constantly listening and monitoring. The underscore of social intelligence and that listening mechanism is critical. That's like your ear to the ground. You would want to make sure that you're investing in that. There are a lot of free tools, but there's also a lot of ways to invest in listening and intelligence that doesn't require you to have a research analyst on site, but if you do, that's all the better, to actually look into how do you deal with what might happen and what is being said about your company. And you're not going to know that until you invest in that listening practice. And lastly, just mobilizing employees through education, through action plans and protocols. This is something that, like I said at the beginning, they're going to want to know what to do. They want to know the rules of the road. They need assistance and training to know exactly how is it that I can engage, what should I say, what should I not say, and they're going to rely on, just like they would rely on your company for training and other means in education and development, they're going to rely on you for this as well. It's the part of the way that business is done, and it's opened up a lot of doors for us. So with that, I'm going to end, and Jamie and I really appreciate you hosting us here today, and we'd like to open it up for any questions that anyone might have.
If I could just have you stand up and project out, please.
Sure. Hi. Sort of on this same topic, I'm wondering if what your thoughts are about the GDPR and how the U.S. might be approaching, privacy issues, like legislation. Do you think they'll look to that as a model? Or
Absolutely, and it's coming and it's here, and we're figuring it out.
What is it?
GDPR is the governance and standards in Europe that are all happening around privacy. So it's just, it's a matter of time before that hits here and the regulations that happen as a result of that. So yes. Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Yeah, I thought Xfinity, I thought you were doing that on purpose to show us that Xfinity was trying to take over her presentation, trying to be
So it
rogue.
just worked out great.
Yeah, right? She's tied into Xfinity, right? Stacey?
How far up do you go? I mean, I feel like only the president should have all the buttons, because anybody below that, or the owner, or how do you decide?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you some thoughts just from being a practitioner and doing this for so many years. Social has no hierarchy. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has access. So if you have a leader in the company, of course it depends on what kind of company and what kind of industry you're in, and those. So for example, if you're in a regulated industry, you need to be mindful. If you're in, for example, in healthcare and you're running a hospital, that has a totally different lens than if you're in a technology company, for example. But what I would say is, for anyone who thinks that the keys belong to the owner of the company, while they may be ultimately responsible for the P&L of the company, anyone has access. And so to be thinking, well, I'm the only one that has a voice, would be, it's like when a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it? It's going to happen. So I think the mindset needs to change, and one of the things that has been really helpful is to educate executives on ways that the social web has created trust and responsibility, and what their responsibility is to that, as well as to the people who work for them. Jamie, do you want to add anything to that?
I think that when you're dealing with millennials, you have to be careful, because even if an employee doesn't make a negative rogue site, they're making a site that represents your organization. So essentially, just even a fan site can be potentially damaging. And the intent is not negative. The intent's not there to be negative. But again, it's not consistent with your branding or your messaging. So keeping control of passwords, I think, doesn't work. Again, as Susan mentioned, the voices are there. You have to be able to speak to those voices and build those relationships to make sure that it's a safe environment.
How much is social media, like Facebook and Twitter, responsible to inform you of these vicious attacks?
They're not. You opted into it, just like the woman said at the beginning. They hold the keys. If you haven't
Well,
read.
they're allowed to delete her page, but if somebody else tries to delete her page.
Well, so here's the thing about if someone takes over and you don't have access, and what Jamie kind of talked about it, their responsibility to your governance or lack of governance, it's like good luck if you can get a hold of. It usually depends on the size of the company and whether or not they're going to be responsive to you. If you're a paid advertiser, you might get a little bit more attention. The point is, prevention is your responsibility, and understanding the rules of the road and your engagement and what you're getting up there is your responsibility. So beware of that.
Let Roger. Okay,
Oh,
Joe.
yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, it was interesting when you were talking about phishing too, because I recently read a report, whether true or not, that millennials are more likely to fall prey to phishing attacks than people that are not millennials.
Yeah, and my kids, I don't think I would call them millennials, I would call them Gen Z or whatever, I hate those classifications, but anyway. But the reason why I'm so passionate about that is because we are in an age where we have a responsibility to our children that are digital natives to understand what they're doing and understand what they fall prey to. So another really cool initiative you guys might be interested in looking into is called the Digital Futures Initiative. I'm part of that, and we created a nonprofit to educate children in schools, educate parents, and then also work with the school community to make sure that they understand the rules of the road for that reason, right there. Any other questions?
Well, I was gonna point out the, what Chad, what's his, Leesback, what's his name? When he was running Pure Michigan, he was talking about, there was a Pure Michigan spoof site.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they felt so comfortable in the brand of Pure Michigan that they allowed it and actually encouraged it, because it was,
It compliments.
it would actually end up pointing to Pure Michigan. It was using the Pure Michigan style, but making fun of it. But it still helped the Pure Michigan brand. And then, of course, they got into the whole thing with the same thing in Wisconsin, where they had, which state's actually shaped like a real mitten.
Yeah.
So there's some of that rogue thing that might be in the good side.
So I think all of those are great questions. Thank you. If you have additional questions, hopefully Susan and Jamie can stay for a few minutes afterwards and talk, but we're kind of running out of time, so we want to keep the program moving around. First of all, would you please put your hands together to thank for all the information. We obviously, again, we have rogue people pounding on the ceilings. I planned this. This was just for part of the presentation about being taken over. Obviously, these are things that we need to be concerned with, and we can't turn a blind eye to, especially the information they just shared, because in our businesses and even our personal lives, we need to be aware of these things. So again, these are the types of things that LA2M as an organization, we want to share with you guys. Hopefully, you guys will have a lot to take away from today. The presentation will be up on our website within a couple of days, probably, or within a week. And that information can be looked at again. So if you missed something in today's topic, please take a look at the video again and you can look at previous. So thank you, ladies. We appreciate so much you guys sharing the information. This is the part of the This is part of the presentation where I really enjoy LA2M is it gives us an opportunity to go around the room. And like I said, please stand up, introduce yourself. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you're shy, you can pass the microphone along. But certainly you're here hopefully to network and meet, learn information. Let's get to know each other. This is how we grow each other's businesses. This is how we help each other. So we'll go around the room. Please just be brief. Give us your name, your company, if you have a quick ask or need, and then pass the microphone around. We'll get around the room in probably 10 minutes, and then we'll have some closing comments. So if we can start with Jennifer and pass the microphone around.
Jennifer Heath, Overcoming Lyme Disease author. Thanks. And I'm actually looking, because I know that I've been hacked. I tried to actually finish my audio for my book, and it was all static when I got done, so I know that I've been hacked, so anyways.
Hi, I'm Nancy Rojas Fairley. I'm a freelance art director and marketing consultant for Jackson.
Hi, I'm Samantha Potter. I am the marketing and communications coordinator at The Ride.
Hi, I'm Mary Stashak, and I'm the manager of community relations at The Ride.
Hi, I'm April Pockmara, and I'm the senior creative representative for the Rouge Group. We are a commercial photography and digital marketing group, and looking to build relationships with web developers and designers and art directors, creative directors.
Go back. Thank you.
Ashley Miller, I am Associate Vice President at Fin Partners, which is a public relations firm downtown, and I manage social media, content creation, and community management.
Hello, my name is Andrew Moore. Just here to give information.
Hi, I'm Whitney McGorum. I'm also an associate vice president at Fin Partners, and when Ashley says downtown, she means Detroit. These are Ann Arbor people. I grew up down the street, so I'm translating for her. Hi, everyone. My name is Katya Sabak, and I'm an account executive at Fin Partners.
Hi, I'm Dominic Ryling. I work for Court Innovations. We help people go to court online.
And I'm Brian Derrickson. I also work for Core Innovations. Part of my role is to help my customers figure out ways to promote the tools that we provide them with.
Again, Corey Dunham with BB Digital Marketing and helping people to figure out that whole marketing issue on the web development side.
Hi, I'm Liam McChesney. I do freelance social media for events and small businesses. Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy from Dollar Bill, your local digital print shop. I plan meetings for LA2M, so if you guys know of good speakers as you go to different things throughout the year, send me an email and let me know what your recommendations are. All the way from Detroit, you guys came for this? Yes. Excellent. Okay. Make sure you tell your friends. I'm also part of another really good group, Women's WXW Women's Exchange. And they also meet monthly, you get a lesson. I just love going out at lunch and going back to the office having a lesson, you know? It like really helps you. So that's next Thursday, check it out, WXW.
Hi, I'm Nancy Bean. I own Sweet Gem Confections and operate it.
Hi, I'm Susan Bryan. I work for Washington County Water Resources. I do education and outreach, which is kind of like marketing.
George.
Yeah, my name is George Pariso. My company is a digital video agency in Brainstream Creative. And what we do is we develop customized video content designed to achieve the outcomes that our clients want. And my job is to just pull up random stuff out of thin air and make it work.
My name is Spencer Marr, and I'm at Sandler Training in Ann Arbor. And we typically help business leaders who are tasked with generating revenue and making sales. We help them with sales process and also sales management.
Hi, I'm Danielle Kaiser. I'm actually really new to the area. I moved from Seattle to the area right before winter started. So I made it through winter, kind of. I left a career in broadcast, television, news. I was an executive producer for all of my career. I'm trying to get out of the news business and trying to get into marketing, so I'm here to learn and grow. And anybody who has any advice for me, I'd love to take advice. Thanks.
Welcome to Michigan.
Hi everybody, my name is Nehemiah Emerson. I'm a graphic designer here in Ann Arbor. My company is Nehemiah 9 Design, and we do mostly print design, a little bit of web design, and some of my work is doing graphic design for social media and email marketing.
But tell about what else you do, like this morning.
I also run a meetup group called Washington Creatives. It's on Meetup. It's local, mostly in Ann Arbor. We do get-togethers where we talk about different topics that help business owners and other creatives. So yeah, check it out.
Hi, my name is Tina Watson. I'm looking for an IT project manager or program management role.
My name is Patrick Harwood, client manager for Otter Base. We are an IT staffing company. I focus on working with clients or anyone looking for new roles in IT in the Ann Arbor and Livonia area.
Say hello, Susan. Come on, Susan. Get up there.
Hi, Susan Harris.
I could have done that for you. I'm Roger Rail. I'm a venture catalyst in my extended transition, which is what I call retirement. So I help with a lot of networking communities, and I run this Ann Arbor Video Interest Group, which meets tonight, second Wednesday of each month, of most months. We'll be at Carlisle's. And Carter's one of them, George is there.
I'm the Aaron. What
Yeah, George sometimes comes. So yeah, I do a lot of videoing of worthy community events like this one.
Hi, I'm Carter Sherline, Frog Print Studios. I'm a commercial editorial, portrait photographer, videographer, drone pilot.
Yes.
I occasionally collaborate with the Rush Group. And if you're a runner or a golfer or a golfer, you might probably see my lens in front of me. But I do just anything about the content for your marketing on the website.
Awesome, thank you everybody. My name is Jim Musia. I am Vice President of LA2M and help get these meetings kicked off every month. Lately, my 5-year-old granddaughter Brooklyn has been finding pennies, and every time she finds a penny, she says, "Oh, Papa, I'm going to have a lucky day." So I was just sitting there thinking what I was going to say, and I looked down, and there was a penny right at my foot. So I am going to have a lucky day, or maybe this has been my luck that I got to be here with you guys today. I'll count that as my lucky part of my day. So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you guys being here. Great information. Thank you guys for coming all the way from Detroit. Did you guys get a room? I mean, my God. Stacy, Detroit is only 30 minutes away. Okay. Yeah, we've been in traffic. We've been in that before. We're gonna, yeah, we have a wide range. So please, tell some more of those Detroit people to come on out to Ann Arbor. We love the collaboration. You know what? There is a lot of collaboration in tech and marketing and startups between Ann Arbor and Detroit.
There's a bus. The U of M.
There is, yeah, U of M actually has a bus that's going between the two. So there's a lot of great business out there. So we would love for LA2M to continue to grow. We want to grow this in the future. If you have ideas, please let us share with us. You know, answer the emails. They'll come to us, either Stacy or myself. And if you have suggestions, please share them with us. So again, thank you guys. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate you guys being here today and sharing information with us. We appreciate all of you being here today. We hope you guys all have something to take out of today's meeting. Again, don't be in a hurry. Stick around. Introduce yourself to the person sitting at the table next to you or behind you. Let's exchange cards. Let's get to know each other and grow our business. Please, I hope I see everybody again next month. Second Wednesday of every month we are here. So everybody have a wonderful day and we'll see you next month. Thank you.